So lately we've been seeing a lot of these used car prices skyrocket. And for good reason. A lot of the new car prices are going absolutely ballistic, getting ridiculous. But there are a lot of used car buys that are just simply out of this world, not even clearly worth it. However, I came across some numbers and statistics and specific models that depreciate so aggressively, the worst ones, the biggest losers on the market, that you have to beg the question, why wouldn't I buy one of those? Yes, in fact, I have a list of the best, hardest depreciating cars if you've been thinking about buying something on the used car market, knowing that you're going to get the best bang for buck. They were very expensive yesterday, and all of a sudden today, they're way off the charts. I mean, we're talking 50, 60% off in a couple of short years. So let's take this from the top. If you're looking for a good deal on the used car market, know these are the heaviest depreciating cars. The first one is a 2022 Ford Mustang Mach-E. It looks like it depreciates on average about 46.13%, and the value is about $24,422. So the average price used is about 28 grand, and new as listed was almost 53. So a huge savings for that car. The next one is Nissan Leaf. Well, we know the Leafs have had some problems, short range, reliability issues, and now they came out with the Area, and there's a whole host of better EVs. If you're looking for an electric vehicle, the Leaf's like one of the pioneers, but probably certainly by no means one of the best. So the average new car price for that was about $32,400. The used car price was about $17,400. So a pretty huge hit. In a couple of short years, you're seeing about an average of 46.29% depreciation, or to the tune of just a shy hair under 15 grand. Okay, how about another one? Clearly, we know that electric vehicles are some of the biggest hit. But if you're looking at buying one anyway, these might actually have you covered. Not all of them are electric vehicles, but we know that EVs are taking a big hammering here recently. 2022 Jaguar I-Pace. New price, we know Jaguar, they're not cheap. $70,000 is list. And the used car price on average is about $36,793. That means you've lost $33,107. If you were the first owner of that car, you took an absolute beating. But as a used car buyer of that, you're picking up a lot of car for a cheap amount of money because it depreciates as much as 47.36%. The next one in line, BMW iX. This was one of the biggest losers. We saw what was going on there. Nobody was buying them new or used. The few that did buy them, it was just more of intrigue. It's almost like driving bad by looking over at a bad car wreck. You don't want to look, but you sort of have to. That's kind of what it's like buying a BMW iX. Well, brand new, they were about $83,000 and change. Used on average for 22, that's only 3 years, is down around $43,800. That means you're seeing a loss of about $39,443, or at the tune of about a 47.41% depreciation. So almost 48% is up in smoke in 3 years. If that's not telling you something, I don't know what is. Here's another one, a 22 Audi e-tron GT. Those weren't selling new, they weren't selling used. Nobody wants the e-tron GTs or the e-trons or any other Audi that's electric vehicle. They've had a lot of electrical gremlins. Getting those kick-started, it was a problem. And they were pretty expensive brand new. The GT, $122,400. Wow, what a deal. Used car, after 3 years, you're looking at $63,567.50. Unbelievable loss. Yeah, how much? About $58,800. It's almost $59,000 gone in 3 years, and that's about 48%. Ouch. How about another one? Here's one that's not an EV. We know that Maseratis are some of the hardest hit for depreciation. How about the Levante? Yeah, let's try that one on for size. Not cheap. $116,000 and $250. That was new. Used all the way down to $60,000 and change. That's right, the average Maserati Levante lost about $55,999. Ah, screw it. Call it 56 grand is gone up in smoke, and that's about 48.17% lost. Here's another one, another EV. You see a bit of a trend here, perhaps? How about this Mercedes EQS sedan? I test drove an EQE. Definitely want to check it over on 6 Speed Reviews, very popular review channel. My latest and greatest. Definitely want to check it out at the end. I'll link that video. But that came in at $125,950 new as list, plus taxes and extras. And sadly for them, owners of that EQS saw in 3 years drop down to $61,950. That's right. They've lost on average almost $64,000 on that vehicle in 3 years, and to the tune of almost 51% is gone in 3 years. Ouch. How about another one? Another EV, 22 Volkswagen ID4. We know they were incentivized. There was a lot of push to get them out the door. There's huge incentives to buy them through a lease. We know Volkswagen was offering some really aggressive lease rates here this year, actually just a little while ago. They're not selling. They had those door handles that were coming off. Nobody was buying. It was just a chaotic unit. I mean, they're kind of cute, but they're EVs. What can you say? You know the value is going to be in the toilet. Brand new, they were going for about $45,320. And used prices are down around 22 grand. That means you're going to lose about $23,000 in 3 years. Even worse, 51.33%. Up in smoke. How about the next one? Oh yeah, here's a beast. Another ICE. For those ICE lovers, 100%. Not too many ICE versions on the market or on the list of the worst depreciating, but here it is. 22 Chevrolet Trailblazer. That's right. They came in at roughly about $24,000 and change, brand new, and they're down to about $11,000, $12,000 on the used car market all day long. They just don't hold their value. They're kind of poorly made, if we're being honest. Do you want a turbocharged 3-cylinder direct injected engine? Not me. But you know what? You'll lose about $12,000 to $13,000 in 3 years. And even worse, that's about 52% depreciation in those 3 years. Brutal. Well, here's one. You know the Volvo brand, Polestar? Well, how about this? A 2022 Polestar 2. Brand new, they were about $48,000. Used, $22,800. And sadly, that's about $25,000 lost. And equivalent to about 52.5% depreciation. Brutal. Tesla Model 3 is another one, a 2022. Now we know Teslas have been taking a real bad beating. It's been rough. Okay, how about the Model 3? That's their entry-level car. Their little sedan, the smaller one, the more affordable, more popular car that Tesla's been selling. And they came around on average of $54,000. Used car listings, $25,000. A lot of that probably had to do with that flooding of Hertz, and of course a lot of the rentals they were sending off, of course, to the market. But at $25,000, it was a pretty big hit because that was 53.3% depreciation and equivalent to what, 29% or $29,000? Absolutely horrific. How about another one? I'm surprised these guys are even still in business. 2022 Lucid Putrid Air. Yep, big loss. $128,000 brand new, all the way down to about 58 grand. That's huge hit. So you're going to lose in 3 years as much as $70,000 on a Lucid Air. Ouch. I don't know what people are thinking. But that's equivalent to almost 55% is lost. And that's a big chunk of change. Could you imagine blowing 70 grand in 2 years? Ouch. Even Vegas is cheaper than that. All right, let's try the next one. 2022 Tesla Model X, another Tesla. We know they've been taking the beats this year. $130,000 because it gives you the big Falcon doors and the big fancy doors, and people love them, but they don't. They have all kinds of problems and nuts and bolts falling off. The big windshield that costs a fortune when you take a rock on there. Just not a popular car on the used market. Those that want them new, they really want them, and nobody else is buying them on the used car market because they go from about $130,000 all the way down to about 58 grand after 2 short years. Make matters worse, that looks more like about $72,000 lost in 2 years, or about 55.23%. Poof, ouch. You want another big bad one? How about the 22 Tesla Model Y? That's their entry-level SUV. They start around $68,000, they go down to about 30 grand. That's about 38% lost, or $38,000 lost, or about 56.6%. Again, up in smoke. Teslas, well, that's a touchy subject right now. And there's another doozy. This is the granddaddy of depreciation right now. Why? Well, because it's expensive brand new. They're pricey as a new vehicle, but a lot of people just don't want to be affiliated with them for various reasons. They're just not selling all that well. It's quite unfortunate, but the Tesla Model S right now, they start at about $120,000, $490,000, and the used car prices are down around $46,000. That means you're going to lose on the average Tesla Model S as much as $74,000 in 2 years or 3 years. Okay, no, 3 years you're going to lose. And that equates to about almost 62% of the value gone in 3 years, 2.5, 3 years. So as you can see, some really big losers. But if you're looking at shopping for any of these vehicles, there's a couple of ICE vehicles in there, there's numerous electric vehicles. But if any of them are on your radar and you've been thinking about buying any of them, just know that you're probably better off buying one of those models used. They've been taking such a hit on depreciation. It begs the question, why would you even buy one new? Even with that goofy rebate that's really been eliminated, the rebates are gone, both in US, Canada, they're just not there anymore in most cases. The rebates are gone, the tax credits are gone, and for the most part, you're pretty much on your own now. You might as well just buy them used because there's no benefit really in getting them used. Depreciation hits them hard. I've also featured a video on Exotic Car Play Places. Why are used Teslas so cheap? You're definitely going to want to check out that video. So 2 amazing videos. Hope to see each and every one in the next one, everybody. See you then. Bye-bye.